What is up, you little goobers? And today I'll be taking you guys through the meta report. We've had 1 day of live so far, but the meta has been kind of solidifying at least the launch meta. And I just want to show you guys kind of what's been working. I played a lot of games yesterday. A lot of them were unsuccessful. Then I turned my stream off, won quite a bit of games and watched a lot of gameplay and watched some other videos to kind of observe the meta. And today I'm sharing with you guys what I learned. So it is solidifying a little bit, but just keep in mind that we are on the second day of the launch patch. So I expect for a lot of things to be different in the coming days. And if those things change, I'll make another video covering the meta. So I have this sorted by average placement. This is gold plus, which you can just say is like master plus right now on average. So I think it's a good way to sort it. And let's just go through the comps right here. So the most popular comp we have is Jazz Misfortune. So this is a reroll comp where, you know, you can take any of the chosens between like Misfortune. You could even do some Echo, maybe Kaisa. You could flex in like big shots. The core thing of this front line is it's a really cheap team that you can make on 7 playing around Superfan. So a good thing is like take Kin and Chosen and then push into this, or like KDA Chosen with like Evelyn and push into this can be quite good. And we'll just open it up a little bit right here. This is a comp that you want to roll for on 6 and 7, and then you cap it out by hitting a Lucian for the end game. The win condition of this comp is a Misfortune 3. You can, at the same time you're rolling for Misfortune 3, you can roll for Bard 3, Kaisa 3, Nico, and Echo 3. It's going to be very difficult to 3-star a Nico or an Echo. Those are extremely contested units. Echo is like the most contested unit in the game. But even if you're holding them, you're thinning out the pool for your Misfortune because you're probably going to be the only Misfortune player. The thing about 3-cost reroll comps, it has a very high pick rate. Think about 3-cost reroll comps that you need to know in set 10 with the decreased bag size. It doesn't actually support 2 players anymore. So that's the thing about these is if you've only played the most recent sets, you might look at this and go, okay, I'm playing Misfortune every game. Now, if you try to hard force Misfortune every game, I think you will probably net climb. But it's not going to be the same as it was in the past sets because if you're contested by a single other person, your ability to top 4 is going to be significantly diminished because it's going to be very hard to hit your 3-star. Although if you tempo really hard into this comp and you're contested, you can probably just top 4 off the 2-stars and then wait for that person to die and maybe get a higher placement. But just know that we're not going to be loss streaking and then trying to force into this. It is not that stable on 2-stars that you can just lose the entire early game and then, ride out through stage 5. That's just not real life. But anyways, when you play this, you want to prioritize items on Misfortune. Rageblade, Last Whisper, plus a hard AD item like Deathblade or IE is going to be your best bet. You really want her to get her resets. So you want to prioritize that and then tank items for your Nico and Echo. You can do like a Bard chosen thing, but you might just end up playing a different build and just more of a Bard-centric build. So just know that you can play kind of the Bard-esque build. The reason why this build is trying to kind of popping off lately, if you were wondering, they buffed Bard and they buffed, I think they actually nerfed Misfortune a little bit. They buffed Bard very hard. They buffed Kaisa, and then everyone just kind of discovered the Super Friend frontline is very good. Very cheap as well. All right, next up is Country Samira Reroll. This comp, it got a slight nerf on Monday, but key thing is that Amumu got buffed very hard and people discovered that you add Amumu into this comp. I don't know what is going on with this. Okay. People added Amumu into this comp. And so this comp is very strong because it utilizes some of the best units in the game. Amumu, Samira, Urgot, and Vex. Those are some of the best units in the game. And then following very closely behind them is Set. Set is very good as well. So whenever you play this comp, you can roll for this. You can roll for this board a little bit on 6 on stage 3, but ideally you want to be slow rolling on 7 for your 3-stars. And we have, you can take a Mumu chosen, a Mumu Guardian chosen, very good. Mumu Emo chosen, not quite as good. Your board will have to look a little bit different. You probably can't fit in 5 country if you try to fit in 4 Emo. But a Mumu Guardian is very, very, very good. A Mumu chosen is very good. You can take either of the Samira chosens. It's fine. If you get country chosen, you get to cut Katarina. You can take either of the Urgot chosens. Your board might look a little bit different, or you might just be sitting on 3 Mosher. It's not that bad. And then you can take Vex. You can take like Vexecutioner chosen and maybe consider dropping out of 5 country and playing like 4 Executioner. But usually you want to get a Mumu, Samira, or Urgot are going to be your best bet. If you get a Set chosen really early on in the game, he actually is very powerful at 3-star because he has a stacking mechanic that whenever he goes down below 15% health, he gains 50 health. I played a set chosen game, and I had a 3-star set with 6,000 HP. Very, 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 very strong. So if you guys want to play some 3-cost rerolls, I recommend learning both of these. This is like an AD flex reroll, and then just playing either of these whenever you get the angle can be quite strong. Just know you're going to be very contested a lot of games because there'll be some idiots out there who will force it from a bad position. Next up, we have Pentakill, a Pentakill comp, and I don't know why it's called Pentakill Mordekaiser. Don't get baited by 3-star Mordekaiser. 3-star Mordekaiser can be just easy to hit sometimes because of the other people rolling for a lot of other 3-cost. So if you get a Mordekaiser chosen, like you can try to carry him, but really the real carries of this comp is Karthus and Akali, or Karthus and Viego. And so ideally you just want to build a really big front line and get an Archangel +2 on your Karthus. Usually you want some mana generation and some type of damage amp. And then you can play, Viego or Akali as your secondary carry. Try to fit in KDA. As you can see, a lot of these top comps utilize a Super Friend frontline. It's just because it's a very easy way to splash in KDA for your Akali, and it's also it's just really cheap. I mean, look at these. These are 1-cost, 2-cost. It's just so cheap. In game, you usually transition out of Super Fans, but man, just like it's so nice. Kennen is such a beast. It's just so nice to play Kennen for a lot of the game. He's so cheap. Okay, next up is Dazzler comps. I'm just going to talk a little bit about TF. It says Dazzler Ziggs, but like you can't plan to play Ziggs like that. Like what? What are we talking about? Whenever you play Dazzler comps, usually you built something like a Sojin, a Nashor's +1. Sojin Nashor's +1 is like really good on TF. I really like it. And that's a very powerful item combination early on in the game because Sojin helps you cast more. And then it bases your mana off of auto attacks, and then you gain a bunch of attack speed after you cast and a bunch of mana. So it's a very good combination. It also has very good stats. It's just good damage. So adding on top of that, usually just do those +2. Though that item combination plus a Gunblade is like really insane on TF if you have enough damage from maybe some other sources and that sort of thing. So if you want to play like a Dazzler comp, usually you just have a high tempo AP opener. You're building the items like I just said a second ago. Maybe you're building a Jewel Gauntlet, maybe you're building a Gunblade, whatever. You have a high tempo. You just play any AP comps and kind of transition. Ideally, if you're really far ahead, you want to go fast 8 and then roll for your comp. You do not need TF chosen. You just need one of the this is showing a very specific frontline. Like, yeah, it's cool to play EDM frontline, cool, whatever. But like on your roll down, just pick up your TFs, pick up your Luxes, pick up your Bards, pick up those things, and just take any of the awesome frontline chosens like Thresh, Blitzcrank, or Zac. Take any of those chosens. You can also take a TF chosen. That's fine too, obviously. But like, you don't need like the carry chosen. Just look for one of those really good frontline chosens. Ideally, you want their like defensive trait, like you want Sentinel. But if you're playing TF, Disco is fine. Like you want Guardian on Thresh, you want Bruiser. But I mean, EDM is fine as well because you can just like play a huge EDM comp as well to build a lot of frontline and just use your EDM selector on Zac. You'll be good to go. So a lot of these 4-cost comps, it's kind of hard to tell you guys how to play them just in this video because I mean, with Headliner, with Chosen, you have to you have to like really play the game by ear. I recommend watching a video from Dish Soap. Go to Dish Soap's channel, rank 1 NA player most of the time. There's a very good video on his channel where he does a headliner tier list. Some of the headliners are a little bit dated because he did it before the update on Monday, but he talks a lot about in that video about, looking to change your headliner and that sort of thing. I think it's very, very, very helpful if you guys want to know how to get to these 4-cost comps. If you guys are struggling to just get to the 4-cost comps right now, if you're trying to play the game like it's set 9 and you're struggling, I really recommend watching Dish Soap's tier list on headliners. It was very helpful to me when I watched that as well. Next up is Emo Roll. Now this is usually this is going to utilize a Superfan frontline again for a lot of the game, and you can transition to kind of like a KDA, Spellweaver type stuff. But this is a Vex carry game. So if you do an Annie reroll, it looks more like this. But I play this comp a lot, but I don't even play it from a position of playing Annie. I usually play it with a Superfan frontline, and I'm playing Vex. I'm playing around Vex and Amumu, and I'm playing Echo. I'm trying to get some Superfan ins, but you want to have 4 Emo and 2 Executioner if you can get it in. And you're carrying your Vex and Amumu. The comp looks a lot different than this whenever I play it, to be honest. But try to utilize that super fan front line for very solid mid game, and then just get your Vex and Amumu rolling and get 4 Emo in, and then you can figure it out from there. This comp caps really high with Yorick because Yorick is a mosher, and then you can end up dropping Annie and play Poppy. Another good supporting unit whenever you're rerolling for this is rerolling Lulu. You don't need the 3-star Lulu or anything like that, but it helps thin the pool for yourself whenever you're rolling. And it can give you Spellweaver when you're playing like Annie, Lulu, and Echo. That can be quite nice while you're rerolling. And again, it thins the pool for your 3 stars, 3 costs, because you really need Vex and Amumu. Just keep in mind if there's a country reroll player in the game, if they're holding all of your Vexes and Mumus, that's going to be a little bit tough for you. So if that is happening in your game, consider pivoting to like just stabilizing on 2 stars and then trying to go 9 and playing like Ziggs or something, playing a legendary comp. Okay, Punk reroll. This is only, you play Punk reroll whenever you are presented with a Punk opener or a rapid fire Jinx chosen. That's very good. So this version of the build is where you get a just rapid fire Jinx chosen. That would be the only way I'd play this, or if you got an Executioner and Twitch chosen, I guess. You could play this, but usually it's just a rapid fire one. That's the indicator to play it. And then you just reroll, use your free rerolls the whole game, and you want to play for these 4 3-stars. Not all of them are necessary, but if you can get Twitch, Jinx, and Pantheon 3-star, that can feel quite nice. And then you round it out with 4 Guardian, and then you add a Vex and a Mumu. I think there's no way you're 3-starring a Vex in this comp. Maybe you can 3-star the Mumu, but yeah, you just end up playing the 4 Punk, and then you slowly add Guardians as you go. You can mess around with some super fans for mid game as well. That can work out. And then whenever you play a reroll Jinx comp, ideally you can play this the whole game, but it's going to be very hard to first place. As you can see, the win rate is quite low. It's going to be very hard to first place. So if you get really far ahead, you can try to go fast 9, sell your Jinx, and then roll for a new comp. That can be a play whenever you get to the end game. All right, next up, we have some big shot comps. This is more like high roll stuff. This is like you play like Heartsteel into this, or you're just really far ahead and you get your Ezreal going, you get a late game Jazz. I mean, this is just a legendary comp. I feel like there's nothing to talk about here. If you're really far ahead, shocker, guys, you play a lot of legendaries and Jazz. So there we go. Next up, Rapid Fire Caitlyn. I guess this is kind of doing a Senna reroll. I guess this is when you get Senna reroll chosen. And you're playing around with some Punk stuff. I don't necessarily play this like this. If you want to play Senna reroll, you just need a lot of frontline. You usually play 4 true damage for the mid game, and then you kind of just transition to having a lot of frontline, and then maybe carrying some additional rapid fires like Lucian and Caitlyn. It's pretty simple. I don't really like this build as much anymore. This was the build I was spamming on PvE, and then they nerfed Senna very hard. Senna is very powerful on stage 3 and stage 4, but falls off very hard on stage 5 now. Crowd Diver reroll. So this is if you get a Katarina chosen or a Evelynn chosen, you can do some Crowd Diver stuff. You want Crowd Diver chosen, not any of the other ones. So you don't want KDA chosen if you're going to reroll Evelynn. KDA chosen is very strong for tempo, and Katarina Country chosen is very strong for tempo, but you really have to have Crowd Diver if you want to do this. Typically, you're going to utilize a Superfan frontline because it's just free. You can also utilize a Country frontline with Tom Kinch and just a random 2-star Urgot, and maybe a set. So you can do some weird Heartsteel stuff in the mid game because there is a Yone that is a Heartsteel, a Crowd Diver, and you can play around set a little bit. So just know you have a little bit of options there. And play super fans, and then yeah, you can play the Country thing as well. And then you want to just slow roll for your Katarina on 6, get her 3-starred. If you're doing the Evelynn route, you'll slow roll on 5. And then look for Evelynn and Katarina. And then you really want to get to 4 Crowd Diver as quick as possible. So that'll be your Yone, Evelynn, and Katarina. And then your win condition is to get to 6 Crowd Diver. And you can keep your super fans going, but you can transition into more of a like a stronger Sentinel comp with true damage and stuff. You can drop your with true damage like Echo and the other dude, Blitz and stuff like that. You can transition that, or you can keep your super fans the whole game. Like these units are just so good, the traits that they give you. I'll talk about a few more here because now we're getting into where the comps aren't rated quite as high. But we have KDA, Ari. This is just, you have a standard AP opener. You want to tempo really hard into this. I think the better AP comp right now for 4 cost is TF, but you can totally play Ari. This is very good if you tempo really, really hard into it. Play Seraphine for your mid game, play Lulu for your mid game, play Superfans, and then transition into this comp. And then you can also look to play Amumu in this comp like reroll. I'm going to talk about a few more comps, but what I just want to say here is if you're looking at this and go, okay, I'm only going to play these. The big thing about set 10 is you got to be willing to play a lot of different comps, and the stats aren't going to tell everything right now because people are just so bad at transitioning. People are so bad at pivoting. Like a lot of people are playing these comps from bad spots. So just understand that even though I'm going through these here, like there's still so much to it. You know what I'm saying? This is Guardian Vex. We already talked about this. I feel like we had EDMZ. I don't know why this is performing so bad. Like it probably is, again, just an instance of, like, I think this comp is actually good once you get online. A lot of people don't think it's good. But, you know, in general, you can have a big EDM front line. You want to get 4 Crowd Diver in if you can. But additionally, you could run some like duo carry Lux comps where you play more for EDM, play less for Crowd Diver. Just play the 2 Crowd Diver with like Kiana. Maybe you do some like Sentinel tech in there. Like there's a lot of flexible spots in here, but 4 Crowd Diver is very strong. But if you get like really good AP items on your Lux and that sort of thing, maybe consider using the EDM thing onto Zach. You know, maybe something to think about. But generally, like these 4-cost comps, you just want to tempo really hard into them. Like you want to be pretty far ahead whenever you play these 4-cost comps. And then whenever you're not super far ahead and you feel like you need to be very, very, very strong in mid game, you usually just settle for these reroll comps. That's why these reroll comps are performing so well, is because you can hit them early on in the game. And even if you kind of like leak a little bit early, you can get a better position because you can just blow your econ on 7 while someone else is like holding all their gold for a sick level 8 roll down at 30 health, and then they don't hit and then they die. Or you can be at 60 health going for a level 7 roll down, and you know you're pretty much guaranteed to hit something. And so that's why these have a lot of playstance. These comps are strong, but I think pretty much all the 4-cost comps are also strong. You just have to be kind of far ahead whenever you want to play some of these in-game comps. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it I'm going to say for the video today. Hope you guys learned from this video, and I'll be keeping an eye on the meta. So keep an eye on this channel, press like, press subscribe, comment something if you'd like, if you want to see see videos from me recommended to you more often and recommended to others who play and love TFT. I love TFT, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. You low goobers.